some people, getting their papayas from here to here can mean the difference between poverty and a better income. For others, it's chickens. For Joseph Godounou, it's shrimp. But when this happens, disaster. One of the ways developing countries can lift their farmers out of poverty is for them to export. But as they get better at trading their produce, they face challenges. One is disease, like avian influenza, bird flu to most of us. Pests in fruit and vegetables, chemical residues, animal diseases can destroy farmers' products and disrupt food supplies within a country. If a country wants to export, then even a hint of contamination has to be tackled. Experts call these sanitary and phytosanitary issues. Sanitary for human and animal health, and phytosanitary for plant health. Together, they also include food safety and are abbreviated as SPS. Sanitary and phytosanitary challenges have to be faced, particularly in quality foods. Fresh and processed fruits and vegetables, fish, meat, nuts and spices, which now account for more than half of developing countries' food exports. And provide a living for millions of households in poor countries. Too often, they don't have the means to ensure their products meet tough international standards. But they can, by talking, listening, and learning with some help. We can see how in Belize, Benin, Vietnam, Thailand, and Geneva. Meet Ceratitis capitata. This beautiful insect can be a real pest. It's better known as the Mediterranean fruit fly, or medfly. This insect is one of the world's most destructive agricultural pests, able to turn a beautiful and nutritious fruit crop into a rotten mess in days. Around the world, millions of farmers have a fight on their hands to deal with the medfly and its cousins. And no one wants to import these pests. So if there's any hint that there are fruit flies around, up go the trade barriers. Some farmers are winning the battle. Belize is the only country in Central America to be officially declared free of medfly. That means farmers all over Belize can grow and export papayas, peppers, and many other crops to major markets like the United States, because since 2001, the US has recognized Belize as free of this pest.
The papaya industry represents about $30 million Belize dollars of income to the country. It employs more than 1,000 workers directly and is one of the leading economic activities for northern Belize.
The first medfly infestation in Belize occurred in 1987 in the Stan Creek district in the south of the country. Elsewhere, the central and northern districts also paid the price because there was no way to prove their products were safe.
At that time, investors were planting papayas in the Cayo district. This was as a new commodity that had been admissible into the US. However, because there was not a comprehensive national surveillance program, the entire country was placed under quarantine and we were unable to export to the US.
That affected our economy tremendously. In terms of foreign exchange earnings, it also affected us in terms of employment for our people.
The Belizean authorities decided to act with help from international partners.
The Food and Agriculture Organization assisted us tremendously with coming to Belize and providing technical assistance in setting up the program. Secondly, the United States Department of Agriculture has been a very key partner.
Monitoring is the first step. The government has to know where medfly is a problem.
We have medfly technicians in the field checking on a daily basis, 52 weeks in the year, to ensure that no medfly is in Belize.
Efforts focus on areas where infestations are most likely to occur, near major highways and residential areas. Next comes eradication.
Whenever a medfly is detected, we have an emergency action plan that we immediately implement. The task force convenes a meeting and we decide on a course of action to be taken. So we'll put 5 Jackson traps and we'll put 5 phase 4 traps.
Then countries buying from Belize have to know that the fruit are safe. Every box of papayas gets a rubber stamp.
With this program in place, it meant that any commodities that were outside of an infested area could still be exported into the US.
This is not a straightforward fight between phytosanitary technician and fly. In the middle are people who play a complex role in the battle. These are seasonal workers from other parts of the region. They're important for Belize's agriculture.
Porque en Guatemala está dura la vida y aquí nosotros venimos aquí siempre y cuando a trabajar aquí.
Travelers often bring fresh fruits and vegetables into the country illegally, and that fruit can conceal medfly, enough to risk an infestation. Keeping the fruit fly away is a constant challenge.
It costs us around $500,000 Belize per year to run the program for the surveillance activities and all the other associated activities to maintain the area free.
They were planted here in Belize, or?
We have estimated that for every dollar that we spend in the medfly program, $140 is generated indirectly or directly.
The private sector, which bears some of the cost, has invested heavily because it's now confident that papaya production is safe. Papaya exports have grown exponentially since 2001, reaching about $15 million every year. And for many, that means jobs.
We employ about 1,000 people, both fruta bomba and Belize fruit packers. So in that aspect, we are one of the biggest company here in the northern part of Belize.
Para mí sería difícil si no hubiera esta fábrica de papaya porque yo soy una mujer con 2 hijos, no tengo marido, tengo que luchar por ellos.
La papaya está dando mucho trabajo y es bueno para los niños porque si no hay por la papaya no van a comer, no van a beber.
Being pest-free is a prize worth protecting.
Whenever governments invest in sanitary and phytosanitary capabilities, it gives the country that opportunity to be able to have market access. And at the same time, if those products are to be consumed locally, we have high quality products being sold on the local markets.
fail to invest in pest-free status, and the costs mount. The fly would have to be eradicated. At the same time, production and trade would be lost. The total bill could be $121 million, the Belize government estimates, a hefty setback in the fight to tackle poverty. And once lost, a reputation or a market can be difficult to recover, as another country, Benin, found out.
Ça a été un séisme. Toutes ces familles se sont retrouvées sans emploi.
Depuis ce jour-là, nous ne trouvons pas à manger.
Des femmes qui ont 5 ou 6 enfants et qui se sont retrouvées dans la rue comme ça, sans emploi.
Nous sommes dans la pauvreté. Tous les enfants ont déjà abandonné l'école.
The problem in Benin was substandard sanitary conditions in the shrimp industry. In 2002, inspectors from the European Union's Food and Veterinary Office went to Cotonou and found a number of problems. An import ban loomed. The Benin government faced a painful dilemma. If it did nothing, it could suffer a lengthy import ban by the EU. The only alternative was to suspend its own exports.
Le risque était de laisser faire et puis une suspension de la part de l'office vétérinaire risquait d'être plus longue à réhabiliter.
Si c'est le consommateur ou l'acheteur qui doit vous suspendre, là vous avez un pour 15 ou 10 ans.
Banning imports is one of the emergency measures the European Union or any importing country can take if it discovers a threat to the health of consumers, animals or plants.
Les inspecteurs de l'OAV ont constaté que les laboratoires n'avaient pas le matériel adéquat et n'avaient pas les compétences suffisantes. Également au niveau des unités de transformation, il y avait quelques insuffisances.
Ils ont parlé de problèmes d'hygiène et que nos crevettes là ne sont pas en bon état pour qu'on puisse consommer.
The ban lasted for less than 2 years, but the effects drag on.
Le Bénin a très peu de produits qui ont un marché naturel comme les crevettes.
On capture, puis on jette, ça gâte. Nous n'en trouvons pas des acheteurs.
La faille trouvée au niveau de la crevette s'est répercutée sur tout l'agroalimentaire au niveau du Bénin.
The government says more than 300,000 people involved in the labor-intensive sector suffered. Processing factories closed. Wholesalers, pickers and workers who cleaned and packed shrimp lost their jobs.
J'ai dû fermer mon usine depuis l'autosuspension. J'ai envoyé tout le monde en chômage. Ils pleurent, tout le monde vient me voir. Quand est-ce que vous allez reprendre? Quand est-ce qu'on va travailler? Et on n'arrive pas.
The public and private sector have worked together to fix the problems. The government invested in inspection systems, labs, and training.
L'administration a pris plusieurs initiatives. La première est la construction d'un laboratoire de référence pour permettre la réalisation des analyses de tous les produits agroalimentaires.
This will be the first lab in the region to be accredited to international standards. Processing factories upgraded their facilities. Workers learned about good hygiene practices. So did the fishing communities.
Aujourd'hui, nous avons beaucoup changé des habitudes. Aujourd'hui, nous capturons dans des plastiques. Nous lavons correctement. Pas de boue, pas d'ordures, pas de l'eau salée.
Dima gbado eto amewa. Ma degaze do emeo. Ma no lo enu podi la no kodo emeo. Be mi ano plo eto ato. Enu ke mi to fifiye o gbava pe obe mi ne mi yin se wan po wan. Mi abe bolua ela ilu.
The task was daunting. It involved strong political commitment, private sector support, and international assistance.
L'assistance internationale a appuyé le Bénin dans 3 domaines. Les autorités compétentes, les inspecteurs sanitaires, les laboratoires qui certifient la qualité, et enfin tous les acteurs économiques de la filière, des petits producteurs jusqu'aux entreprises, aux industries.
On va retrouver celui des langoustes.
Benin achieved a lot over the next few years, and the ban was lifted on the 1st of February 2005. But the price tag was high, and lost markets are difficult to recover.
Je vous assure que le Bénin continue de vivre cet impact-là. Je veux parler des pêcheurs eux-mêmes, je veux parler des marailleuses, je veux parler des collecteurs, je veux parler de des femmes qui étaient au niveau des usines et qui aidaient à transformer les produits. Ça, tout ce monde-là a perdu donc du travail.
Le Bénin exporte environ 400 à 500 tonnes de crevettes annuellement. Et depuis qu'il y a l'autosuspension, le Bénin n'exporte plus de crevettes.
Exporters still face difficulties. Other countries took over Benin's market share, and the private sector still suffers financial problems.
Jusqu'à présent, on n'a pas pu commencer parce qu'on n'a pas le fonds de démarrage, de liquidité. On n'est pas crédible vis-à-vis des banques. Ça, c'est ça.
Winning back the European market or finding customers elsewhere offers thousands of families in Benin a real chance of a better life.
Nous produisons beaucoup, mais nous ne pouvons pas tout consommer. Si on a le marché international, on peut bien vendre nos produits, avoir de l'argent pour régler nos problèmes.
Countries have to be able to implement food safety and animal and plant health measures in order to take advantage of these opportunities. It can also be a matter of life and death, as farmers on another continent know only too well. Fruit flies damage crops. Poor sanitation held up Benin's shrimp exports and was a disaster for the country's people. Those are serious enough problems, but some are much worse. Bird flu, or more officially, avian influenza, has brought death, suffering, lost earnings, and unemployment. The current outbreak started in 2003. It was a human disaster and an economic catastrophe.
ทางด้านสาธารณสุขนั้นเนี่ยมีคนป่วยทั้งหมดถึง 25 คนแล้วก็เสียชีวิต 17 คนนับว่าเป็นความเสียหายที่ยิ่งใหญ่มากสำหรับประเทศไทย
The death toll was much higher in Vietnam and Indonesia. Over 300 million birds died or were killed in Southeast Asia by the middle of 2005. The economic cost was over $10 billion, the World Bank said. Vietnam was among the worst affected. Millions of the poorest households relied on poultry. Hoang Van Long's family depended on the sale of ducks and eggs to meet their daily needs and cover school and health expenses. For Nguyen Dang Theng, it was chicken. Poultry traders, feed mills and breeding farms suffered too. The government and international partners responded quickly. Over $2 billion has been committed, mainly at this conference in Beijing, to help countries worldwide tackle avian flu. This has helped Vietnam get to grips with the problem.
And now we had good capacity. We had already established the animal health veterinary system from national to provincial, district, and even the commune.
This is not a lab technician. She's a factory worker in Thailand, another developing country. Thailand, too, was hit badly by the epidemic. Small-scale producers went out of business. Thousands of workers lost their jobs. The poultry industry virtually closed down overnight.
ธุรกิจการส่งออกไก่เนื้อของประเทศไทยซึ่งเคยส่งเป็นไก่สดทั้งหมดนั้นได้หายไปทั้งหมดนะครับแล้วก็คงเหลือเฉพาะเพียงไก่สุกมีจำนวนเพียงแค่ไม่ถึง 20% ในช่วงที่เกิดหวัดนกในครั้งแรก
It's a huge impact. It's almost damage and destroy all the industry. In totally, I would say that it costs about $2 billion that damage our industry by the influenza.
Around the world, the number of trade bans soared.
We took immediate measures to ensure that there was no risk to European consumers. For example, we banned imports of fresh poultry meat and live poultry because there is scientific evidence of risk in those cases. But conversely, for cooked poultry meat products, we allowed trade to continue.
Who decides what is safe? Governments do, but they've agreed to rely on science or international standards. For example, even in a major epidemic, only some products are infectious, and only they should be banned. For a disease like bird flu, the most important standards come from the World Organization for Animal Health, known as the OIE.
Nous avons aussi modifié les normes qui existaient déjà. Si un produit issu de volaille est correctement traité, de façon à tuer le virus qui peut être en lui, eh bien, il peut également aller sur le marché mondial.
Businesses in Thailand avoided ruin by complying with international standards. They increased production of cooked chicken products. Exports rebounded. Many other developing countries don't have the same resources to meet safety standards. Governments will never give up their right to protect the health of their own people, their livestock, and their crops. But they also want their exports to flow as smoothly as possible. This poses two challenges. One is how to protect health without making it an excuse to be protectionist. The other, for poorer countries, is the hard slog of meeting international standards. Part of the answer is in Geneva.
At the World Trade Organization, there's an agreement on sanitary and phytosanitary measures. It strikes a balance between the right, some would say an obligation for governments to protect health of consumers by ensuring food is safe and protecting animal health and plant health, and avoiding unnecessary restrictions to international trade.
So that essentially the goods can now trade.
And this is where they discuss these issues. The SPS Committee at the WTO.
Mexico?
Developing countries, too, are using the committee more and more.
Of course, when we participate in the SPS Committee, we find opportunities to get in contact with our trading partners to discuss our problems.
Chile tiene una muy buena condición sanitaria, pero debe demostrarla. Y una forma de demostrarla es a través de los principios del acuerdo.
In cases where we are not able to comply, definitely we will export less and less, and economic growth will go down.
Bird flu has become a frequent topic. Even though the less dangerous or low pathogenic strains don't carry the same risk, some countries still block trade. This can mean economic loss, but no additional health protection.
As more scientific information becomes available, it's necessary to review the measures taken by governments and to work on the basis of international standards.
For bird flu, that means the standards set by the World Organization for Animal Health. For food safety, it's the Codex Alimentarius Commission. For plant health, the International Plant Protection Convention. Trade problems due to avian influenza are not likely to go away. But the WTO's agreement, international animal health standards, and cooperation can help countries tackle them. Benin, Belize, Thailand, and Vietnam are not alone. Farmers, fishers, businesses, exporters, and governments around the world face similar challenges to meet food safety and agricultural health requirements in importing countries. And the challenges seem to be increasing. As these examples have shown, the costs of meeting import requirements are high, but the costs of not meeting them are even higher. One way of supporting people in cash-strapped countries is to help them get the knowledge, skills, and resources to meet international standards.
There are several national projects.
The Agreement on Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures encourages governments to help developing countries meet their international obligations. Many donors and organizations are already doing that. But much more is needed, and the work should be coordinated better. In 2002, 5 international organizations came together to address these concerns. They do this through the Standards and Trade Development Facility. Each organization brings its own special expertise to health and safety in agricultural trade.
The value of the STDF lies in the fact that not only does it build the capacity, but it also brings together the donor community where they can share experiences, but also the coordination role is a very good one.
In many cases, developing countries are facing obstacles such as sanitary standards. That's the reason why we've embarked on this initiative to help developing countries who may have an important comparative advantage, raising their capacity to effectively trade, including in matching these standards.
The WTO makes trade possible through its agreements and by providing somewhere for government experts to talk, share experiences, listen, learn, and arrange assistance. The benefits will be worth the effort. More jobs, less poverty, increased incomes, more secure food supplies, and better health.
Bay. Lots of good